please.
Okay. Thank you, Ramesh, sir. Hearty welcome to all for the Navaratna Conference, the 9-day virtual seminar organized by the prestigious 9 branches of Kerala from 11th August to August 19, 2021. We shall begin with the motto song.
Yaesha supteshu jagrati Yaesha supteshu jagrati Kamam 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 Purusho nirvimanaha Tadeva shukram Tada brahma Tadeva mritamujjate Tasmin lokaha shataha Sarve tadunatyati kaschan Etadvaita
Navaratna, the 9 precious gems. This was conceptualized by C.A. Vimal Venu, past chairman from Palakkad, along with the then past chairman of other 8 branches under the able leadership. Am I audible?
Yeah, now audible.
Okay. Sorry.
Yes.
Navaratna, the 9 precious gems. This was conceptualized by C.A. Vimal Venu, past chairman from Palakkad branch, along with the then chairman of the other 8 branches under the able leadership of the stalwarts in our profession from Kerala, C.A. Babu Abraham Kallivail, Central Council member, and C.A. Jomoon K. George, past chairman, SARC of ICA. Knowledge is power. Learning gives creativity. Creativity leads to thinking. Thinking provides knowledge. Knowledge makes you great. So here we all have gathered to learn, unlearn, and relearn many things. This is the 6th day of the conference, and we have an eminent faculty, C.A. G. Shekhar sir, Central Council member, with us. Let me now invite the chairman of Tirunelveli branch of SARC of ICI, C.A. Ramesh Kumar S, for his welcome address.
Thank you, Rama. Most respected Central Council member and speaker of today's webinar, C.A. G. Shekhar sir, respected Central Council member and conference chairman, C.A. Babu Abraham Kallivail sir, respected regional council member and conference convener, C.A. Jomoon K. George sir, chairman of all Navaratna branches, C.A. Praveen of Kollam branch, C.A. Rajneesh of Alappuzha branch, C.A. Prashant Srinivas of Kottayam branch, C.A. Ranjit Warrior of Ernakulam branch, C.A. Aryan of Thrissur branch, C.A. Vinod Menon of Palakkad branch, C.A. Arun Subramanian of Kozhikode branch, and C.A. Reggie of Kannur branch. And my fellow management committee members and management committee members of all other Navaratna branches, and most respected senior members in the profession and other professional colleagues. A very good afternoon to all of you. We are extremely delighted and honored to be the host branch in the 6th day of the Navaratna Conference 2nd season from the Anandapuri, the land of Ananda Padmanabha. It was the idea that was mooted by the then chairman of Palakkad branch, C.A. Vimal Venu, in 2020 to hold a conference under the title Navaratna, which was a great success. I strongly believe that that was the first time in the history of India all the branches in Kerala are united to share the cause and knowledge in a single platform. This year also, Chairman of Palakkad branch, C.A. Vinod Menon, took the initiative, and we all the chairman of Navaratna branches took it in our own hands under the shelter of 2 pillars of our profession for Kerala, C.A. Babu Abraham Kallivail sir and C.A. Jomoon K. George sir. This conference is absolutely with 9 Ratnas, that is 9 days, 9 branches, and 9 world-class speakers. This conference would not have been possible in such a short period of time without the wholehearted support of our Central Council member, Babu sir, and Regional Council member, Jomoon sir. We are happy that all members from Kasaragod to Kanyakumari took the conference receptively and attending virtually from different parts of the world. Today, the topic for discussion is multidisciplinary partnership firm and revised networking guidelines. And we have with us an illustrious and erudite C.G. Shekhar sir. I am sure that we will leave this webinar with the memory of power-packed, knowledge-filled session. In this great day, I welcome our most respected Central Council member and speaker of today's session, C.A. Shekhar sir, who dedicated his life for students and betterment of our profession. Introducing Shekhar sir may be a disrespect to him, as he is a guru to many of our chartered accountants. In fact, Shekhar sir was the chairman of the session last year when we were the host branch. We are fortunate to have you, sir, as the speaker today. On behalf of all Navaratna branches, I wholeheartedly welcome you, sir, to this program. Welcome you, sir. I also welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I also welcome the chairman of this conference and Central Council member, C.A. Babu Abraham Kalluvelil, sir, who, as I said, one of the two pillars of our profession from Kerala. Without his untiring effort, this conference would not have become a reality. I also take this opportunity to congratulate our beloved C.A. Babu Abraham Kalluvelil, sir, for being elected as the only representative from India to the Public Sector Financial Management Committee of Confederation of Asia and Pacific Accountants, CAPA. On behalf of all Navaratna branches and its members, I congratulate Babu sir for this prestigious position. Congratulations, sir, and welcome to this program. I welcome our regional council member and convener of this conference, C.A. Jomonke George sir, who is another pillar of our profession from Kerala, who along with Babu sir played a very key role for conducting this conference. Welcome you, sir, for this program. I welcome my dear chairman of all Navaratna branches, C.A. Praveen of Kollam branch, C.A. Rajinish of Alappuzha branch, C.A. Prashant Srinivas of Kottayam branch, C.A. Ranjit Warrior of Ernakulam branch, C.A. Aryan of Thrissur branch, C.A. Vinod Menon of Palakkad branch, and Arun Subramanian of Kozhikode branch, and C.A. Reggie of Kannur branch for this program. I also welcome my fellow management committee members who have given me a lot of support to conduct this program, and also welcome management committee members of all other Navaratna branches. Last but not the least, I welcome all the participants who are virtually present here for this program. Thank you. Thank you. Over to Rama.
Thank you so much, Ramesh sir, for your warm welcome. Next, I invite our conference chairman, C.A. Babu Abraham Kalluvelil, Central Council member of ICI and member of the Public Sector Financial Management Committee of the Confederation of Asian and Pacific Accountants, for his opening remarks.
Very good evening to all of you. My very distinguished and eminent colleague in the Apex Council of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India.
Babu, your voice is breaking.
Voice is breaking. I think then I'll change the network. I think it automatically changes.
Now it's okay, network. Sir. Now I think it's okay. Now
it is okay.
I will change the network. Actually, my wired network is better.
Now it's breaking.
Is it okay now?
Okay, sir. Now okay.
Is it?
No, sir. No. Sir, the previous one.
So the previous network is fine. You can use the other one.
Sir, the previous one is better, sir.
Now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, now fine.
Sorry for the inconvenience. My very distinguished colleague in the Apex Council of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and I would say who is the author of the multidisciplinary partnership, who has got absolute insight. In fact, when we finalized this program, Shekharji was tied up. Then, in fact, chairman asked me, Babu, you have to speak to Shekharji to get his date. And finally, despite his hectic schedule, he has agreed to join us today. Thank you, Shekharji, for that. My very good friend and colleague in the Regional Council, Jomon K. George. I'm sure who is poised to take over the legacy from me as your representative in the Apex Council. All the very best to you, Jama. And today's host chairman, Ramesh Kumar of Trivandrum, joined with Secretary Rama, Ramakrishnan, Chiryanji, other council members. I see all past chairmen of remaining 8 branches on the screen, and members who have joined in large numbers across the state of Kerala. I'm extremely glad and delighted to be with you once again as part of this Navaratna conference, which is one of the brilliant idea mooted and jointly being executed by all of you together in a very successful manner. And today we are discussing on a very, very important topic on multidisciplinary partnership. In fact, Shekharji presented the report on a group to examine the legal provisions and operational issues and recommended measures to facilitate the formation of multidisciplinary partnership by chartered accountants. Now, I think partnership with company secretaries, cost accountants, architects, and engineers have become a reality. In fact, advocates and actuaries have to amend their respective act to may allow because hitherto even chartered accountants act as expressly prohibited a chartered accountant from entering into partnership with any other professional or even sharing of fees with any other professional. Now we have amended our act, but the consequential amendment in the Advocates Act and Actuaries Act is set to take place, but which we hope, since it is a policy by the Government of India, I'm sure this will happen sooner. And the complexity of business has increased manifold, and reliance on technology has resulted in a greater demand for specialists. A multidisciplinary approach drawing on deep methodology and frameworks for assurance, combined with specialists and subject matter expertise, possesses the bandwidth to meet the need and will be increasingly vital as the market continues to evolve towards integrated thinking in the years to come. The multidisciplinary partnership is one of the best mechanisms to develop the skills, expertise, and consistency needed for quality audits. As the name denotes, a multidisciplinary firm is one which provides both audit and other services by the same firm, which shall be a provision of complete package of services. As all of us know today, that is what is being looked upon by every other client. They want all services under one umbrella. And MDP has been a very successful model globally also. Countries like Germany, Australia, UK, other European countries have also adopted the multidisciplinary partnership model with different conditions. Therefore, I'm sure this is going to be one of the wonderful session, and that too, since we are able to hear it from G. Shekharji, I would say that you are fortunate to hear it from the horse's mouth. I wish the seminar all the very best. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Babu sir, for your kind words. Next, I invite our conference convener, CA Jomon K. George, past chairman of SARC of ICI, for his opening remarks.
Thank you, Rema. I would be very brief because I have been addressing every day. It's just a token appearance for the sake of it. The dynamic chairman of the host branch of Day 6, my dear friend Ramesh, charming secretary Rema, other managing committee members, Ramakrishnan sir, Chiryanji, and other 8 gems of the 9 managing committee members of the branches. Babu Abraham Kaliwal sir, our Central Council member. And one thing which requires special mention is that we got the CP approval for the whole program, which is not a routine thing to get the 9 branches together from the CP directorate in less than 18 hours of application. I think that goes for a round of applause virtually though, something which I should very specially mention. And very, very learned speaker. I always talk about, when I say about Shekhar sir, I say he's a guru with kripa, great care and concern for the students as well as for the members. 9th year in the Apex Council, and I had the privilege of being with him in regional council meetings. Most of the meetings, almost all the meetings, sir used to be there and bring out valid points with the real quote from the regulations and how we should go about a real guidance for all of us. And today he is there to enlighten us on this very important emerging area of multidisciplinary partnerships and networking. Other 230 odd members who are online with us this evening to empower themselves on this emerging area. Friends, invited guests, I'm extremely happy to be here online with you for this program. I think the message is very clear when our Honorable Prime Minister urged the professionals to have a big four from our own country, a homegrown, indigenous, large firm, whether it's the big five or whatever, grow in size. This seems to be the need of our grow in size. Even if you look at, when you look at the new RBI guidelines on statutory auditors and central statutory auditors for banks, NBFCs and urban cooperatives, the minimum size is prescribed. So remaining single, remaining small, there are a lot of deficiencies there, a lot of limitations. One is the vast area of topics which we have to deal with. Where a single person handling all that becomes really difficult, and it becomes shallow as well. We cannot go in depth. So grow in size and become more visible, make it expressively possible within the framework of the ethical requirements that we have. And improving deliverables is the order of the day as we look forward. This post-COVID, I think things should be substantially better. We are seeing green shoots even in places like Kerala, where the worst affected tourism sector is also now gearing up to welcome domestic tourists. Things are looking out better. The third wave, as we're given to understand, if at all that happens, will not be as intense or difficult as the first and second waves. Therefore, I think we should develop a lot of optimism around all that we do. And towards that, Institute has come out with this new regulatory framework on MDPs, which is long awaited. And happy to know that Shekhar sir, Babu sir pointed out that he was the person who was instrumental in drafting the whole process, the procedure and the framework. So without wasting any of the time of the speaker, I will now conclude thanking the organizers for this opportunity again. And once again, wishing you all the very best, all the members who are there. There's very, very rich takeaways. I have no doubt that you will have. So let us now listen to the speaker in detail. It's back to you, Rama. A big thank you to all of you.
Thank you very much, Jomon sir, for your encouraging words. We all does not need any introduction on our eminent speaker, CAG Shekhar sir. But as the custom demands, I request the Vice Chairman of Tirunelveli branch of ICAI, CA Cherian G. Samuel, to introduce our eminent speaker, CAG Shekhar sir.
Thank you, Rama. Good evening, everyone. We are delighted to introduce before you the speaker of the day, who requires no introduction among our profession, a well-known chartered accountant and doyen of our profession, CAG Shekhar. Member of Central Council of ICAI from 2013 onwards, great motivator for chartered accountants in practice and in employment and CS students through his effective and convincing communication style. Founder partner of G. Shekhar Associates and in practice as chartered accountant since 1986. Founder and faculty for direct taxation in Sri Guru Kripa Institute of Management. Faculty member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and its branches and other professional and management institution for CA Intermediate, IPCC, and CA final level for the subject income tax, direct tax laws. Speaker in seminars, workshops, and programs conducted by ICAI, its branches, study circles, Chamber of Commerce, Income Tax, CAG offices, training institutes, National Academy of Direct Taxes, Tamil Nadu State Judicial Academy, etc. Author of professional books for finance and legal professionals, corporate taxpayers, bank officials of income tax department, and for CA students, authored about 33 books covering entire curriculum of CA profession. With this brief introduction, we welcome you to the 6th day of Navaratna conference. Over to you, Shekhar sir.
Thank you. I think so I can start.
Yes, sir.
So I am sharing the screen also. I think so screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Chairman of the Trivandrum branch and other 8 branches of this Navaratna conference. My friend, philosopher and guide in the council, Babu Abraham Kalivail. Regional Council colleague, German Judge, and all the committee members of the 9 branches. I shall be grateful in addressing this meeting with a new topic on multi-country partnership. Before going to the topic, I would like to share with you the MDP guidelines as well as FAQs are notified by the Institute on 2 days back on Friday evening. So you can download it from the website of the ICI. It is now readily available. There is a big history behind this MDP, and the whole contribution for the MDP is done by the Southern region. There are 3 stages of amendment taken place for this formation of MDP. First stage of amendment taken place in 2006-07. Our Southern region president, Mr. T.N. Manoharan, was the president during his period. The first set of amendment came. The second major amendment came in 2011-12. Mr. G. Ramasamy was the president. The final amendment came in current year, July 8th. Fortunately, I will be the convener for the whole group, bringing the finishing the relay race successfully for the benefit of the members. Dear members, this new concept of firm is called multidisciplinary partnership. Why it is called multidisciplinary partnership? In this partnership firm, not only chartered accountants, but also other permitted prescribed professionals under regulation 53B is considered. So more than one class of professional is permitted. It is called multidisciplinary partnership. These guidelines came into force with effect from 8th of July, the day on which the Form 18 amendment was notified. In these guidelines, unless the contract otherwise requires, Chartered Accountant means Act means Chartered Accountant Act, regulation means Chartered Accountant Regulation, multidisciplinary firm means MDP in practice, which has been approved to practice in its name by the Council of ICI under Regulation 53B, read with Regulation 190 of the Chartered Accountant Regulation. And all the words and expression used in these guidelines, unless specifically defined, the Chartered Accountant Act and the Chartered Accountant Regulation shall apply. That means the whole of the MDP firm, whatever it will apply for a normal chartered accountancy firm will apply for the MDP firm. The main objective of these guidelines and FAQs to guide the members to clarify the doubts. Everything is already there in the Chartered Accountants Act and Regulation. But from that, the gist has been taken as a readily usable form, and frequently asked doubts are clarified in the FAQs. Here I'd like to go by step behind the history. In 2006, November, up to 16th November 2006, up to 16th November 2006, the law in this country is chartered accountant can share fees only with a chartered accountant. That is share fees in the sense either you can give or take. That is clause 2 and clause 3 of part 1 of schedule 1 of Chartered Accountants Act. And chartered accountant can enter into a partnership with only with another chartered accountant, clause 4. This was the position up to 16th November 2006. On 17/11/2006 onwards, Chartered Accountant Amendment Act 2006 came into effect. They amended clause 2, clause 3 and clause 4 of the Chartered Accountants schedule, first schedule part 1. These 3 clauses, 2, 3, 4 got it amended. Because of 2, 3, 4 got it amended, what happened? the gate was open up to a particular level. What is clause 2 and 3? Sharing of fees with other professionals. Without entering into a partnership, sharing of fees with other professional permitted under the professional ethics with effect from 17th November 2006. And that time also they permitted enter into a partnership with prescribed professional also. So the gate was slightly open. But what happened? Institute not willing to form partnership, multidisciplinary partnership. The main section of the Chartered Accountants Act is not amended. But when this amendment came in 2006, not only in Chartered Accountant Act came, Cost Accountant Act, Companies Act, parallelly all the three acts schedule got it amended. Schedule only got it amended. As per the schedule, Government of India notified the regulation 53A, 53B in 2008. 53A, 53B, 2008, Government of India notified with whom you can share the fees or take share from the fees, regulation 53A, with whom you can enter into a partnership, regulation 53B. It is inserted in 2008, 25/9/2008. For the amendment taken place in 2006, regulation was notified in 2008. Certain firms applied for registration. That time, Institute refused. All the three acts got it amended. Chartered Accountant Act, Cost Accountant Act, and Company Secretary Act got it amended. But the main section which permits them to practice, the main section which permits a chartered accountant to practice or cost accountant to practice or company secretary to practice is not got amended. An interesting point I would like to share. If you read Chartered Accountant Act or Cost Accountant Act, Company Secretary Act, almost 90% is similar, both in section number as well as in regulation as well as in clause, almost similar. But all the three acts, the main section for practice is not amended. So Institute refused to register a multidisciplinary partnership firm. So during 2011-12, when G. Ramasamy, our past president, during his period, the representation has been made. You amended the professional ethics, you permitted us to practice, but the main section which gives power to practice is not got amended. That is section 2.2. In section 2.2, what was the position up to 31st January 2002, 31st January 2012, 31st January 2012, what is the position? A member of the institute shall be deemed to be in practice when individually or in partnership with chartered accountant in practice. Up to this level only there. The next three lines are not there. A member in practice, either he can practice individually or along with a chartered accountant holding certificate of practice. But 2006 itself, schedule amended, regulation inserted, chartered accountant can enter into a partnership with prescribed category of persons. But main section not amended. Main section restricts only with the chartered accountant in practice. But 2012, 1st February 2012 onwards, they inserted the word or in partnership with members of such other recognized profession as may be prescribed. As may be prescribed. This amendment not only came in Chartered Accountant Act, partnership with members of such other recognized profession as may be prescribed, this provision was inserted both in Cost Accountants Act and Company Secretaries Act also they have inserted. So this taken place in 2012. Even after that, the MDP firm not came into operation. In 2020, there was a meeting in the MCA. That time I was the I'm the chairman, Audit and Assurance Standard Board, along with the immediate past president, Mr. Atul Kumar Gupta, we attended. The government expressed the view we want the Indian Chartered Accountants should be a wholesome firm, not only professional accountants. When we open up the service sector shall provide everything at a one roof. For that, we amended the act, amended the regulation, and amended the professional ethics. But youth firms, professionals, not willing to come together. As a Chartered Accountant Institute, why not you be a premier institution? Start first to do this. This was the request came from MCA in our discussion. So immediately, the immediate past president, Mr. Atul Kumar Gupta ji, and the present president, that time vice president, Mr. Nigar ji, formed a group, appointed me as the convener to go through all the act and regulation, in what way we can successfully implement this MDP, and in what manner it is beneficial to our members. The group thoroughly analyzed all the act. If you practically ask me, we are going to discuss. We analyzed Chartered Accountant Act and Regulation, Cost Accountant Act and its regulation, Company Secretaries Act and its regulation, the Charter of Indian Institute of Engineers, which was framed in 1935. We have gone through the University Grant Commission Act, UGC Act. We have gone through the Architect Act along with its bylaws of the Indian Architect Institute, Actuaries Act, Advocate Act, Bar Council rules. All these things we gone through related to forming of multidisciplinary partnerships. After analyzing this, we submitted the report to the council in the month of August 2020, exactly 1 year back, that this is the manner in which the MDP firm can be constituted. The final thing what we have to do is registration of MDP firm by amending the Form 18. The council thoroughly discussed almost three consecutive council meetings, thoroughly discussed nearly more than 12 hours, word by word of the report. Ultimately, the council approved the guidelines, approved the FAQs, and approved the amendment to the Form 117, which is application for clearance of name, and Form 18 for registration of MDP firm. After the council approval, which has taken place in the month of October, November, we have written to MCA and we have made a notification in the official gazette on December 10, 2020. We are going to open up MDP firm. We are going to release the prescribed forms. If any citizen of this country having objection to this, not only professionals, anybody can raise objection. They can give their suggestion, objection, anything on this matter. As per the law, 45 days time has been given. The last day is 24th January. After the prescribed date of public comments is over, we thoroughly analyze how many comments received. Practically, if you ask me, only one comment, same comment written by two people. Number-wise, two comments received, but practically it is only one comment received from ICAA Institute and its president. No other comment has come on this issue. Neither an objection nor a suggestion. What is the ICAA Cost Accountants Institute objection? Appropriate place, when I explain, I will tell you. After going through the objections of the ICAA Institute, we clarify to the MCA. Then the MCA sent all the documents to the Ministry of Law and Justice. Ministry of Law and Justice verified everything and permitted ICAA to release the forms and open up the MDP firm. So on July 1st, we got the approval letter. July 8th, we notified this MDP firm in the official gazette. And the guidelines Institute want to verify once again with the Ethical Standard Board, verify. Then we released everything 2 days back. So now these guidelines also released. Now I go through what is the class 2. Today we are talking about not only MDP firm, but also networking of firm. Networking of firm also, because till 2006 November, chartered accountant can share fees only with a chartered accountant. A pays or allows or agrees or pay allowed directly under any share, commission, brokerage in the fees or profits of his professional business to any person other than the member of the institute, prohibits, or a partner or a retired partner legal representative. But what happened? In 2006, they added the word or a member of any other professional body or with such other person having such a qualification as may be prescribed. So now people are asking question whether the chartered accountant firm, not only MDP networking is permitted, whether one networking firm can network with another networking firm. Yes, because of this clause. Not only one MDP can network with another MDP, one MDP firm can also network with non-MDP firm also. Everything is permitted under this clause for sharing your fees. Similarly, taking share from the fees, clause 3 also permitted because as prescribed in clause 2. So permitted. Entering into a partnership also, originally chartered accountant practice with any person other than a chartered accountant in practice or such other person who is member of any other professional body having such qualification as may be prescribed. He should be a member of a professional body having such other qualification as may be prescribed. That is regulation 53B. So institute prescribed qualification with whom you can share fees by regulation government, whom you can enter into a partnership. Regulation 53A prescribed with whom you can share fees. Very, very important. Without entering into partnership. Without entering into partnership, you can share fees with as on date. Members of Company Secretaries of India, members of Caste and Work Accounts of India, advocates of Bar Council of India, Indian Institute of Architects, Institute of Actuaries, or members of other professional bodies recognized outside India as on date we have not permitted, or the person with a prescribed qualification. Because why I am calling this clause? See, in clause 2, I want members. Here they use the word or a member of any professional body, any member of any other professional body, or with such other person having such qualification as may be prescribed. Either they may be a member of professional body or with such other person the qualification prescribed. Two things. But if you enter for entering into a partnership, you see who is a member of any other professional body having such qualification as may be prescribed. They are not using the word member of professional body or member of or person having such other qualification. He is telling only member of the professional body having such qualification. Why I am distinguishing? I will show you. In 53A, clause 1 talks about member of professional body. Clause 3 talks about prescribed qualification. They may not be a member, but having qualification, company secretary, cost accountant, actuary, bachelor in engineering of a university, bachelor in technology from a university established by law or institution recognized by law, like IIT, BITS Pilani, like that. Bachelor in architecture from any university, bachelor in law from any university. There they are not using the word Bar Council member. Bachelor in law from any university, or master in business administration, MBAs. But interesting point, this clause will be applicable for clause 2, 3, 4. 4 for partnership also. But institute does not prescribe today clause 4 because of the restriction in our professional ethics. As on date in Chartered Accountant Act, they said members of professional body having such a qualification as may be prescribed, both in ethics as well as in section 2 also. Partnership with members of such other recognized profession as may be prescribed. Members of such other professional body, not only qualification. They should be a member of the body also. So 53A to A3 permits with your 8 category of people with partnership also, not only sharing fees. As on date, we can't do because section 2 is only talking about members of professional body, not just having qualification alone. So institute said we can approve only for multidisciplinary partnership 53B only. 53A clause 3 we cannot apply for multidisciplinary partnership as on date unless this section got it amended as well as clause 4 also got it amended, because both the area they are using the word member of any other professional body having such qualification, just not only qualification. That is the biggest thing, because 53A1 talks about members of any of the following professional bodies. 53A3 talks about following shall have the profession qualified in India, whether they are member or not. So this is the reason behind that for MDP firm, because in so many meetings, today is this is my 17th meeting on MDP. Some meeting they ask, sir, 53A3 also there, but 53A3 we are not permitting. You can share fees, no problem. Keeping them outside partnership, you can share fees, no problem, but you cannot enter into a partnership because as on date, section 2.2 and clause 4 not properly amended to consider these regulations. Now, the guidelines shall be MDP guidelines. Regulation 53B prescribes whom? Members of the professional body, company secretary member, cost accountant institute member, advocate member of the bar council, engineer who is the member of Indian Institute of Engineer or engineer from recognized university, architect, actuary. Now let me go first category, partnership with company secretary. Dear members, after we are notified these guidelines, this form amendment, both the Costing Institute and Actuary Institute, Costing Institute and Company Secretary Institute issued an advisory. Cost Accounting Institute and Company Secretary Institute issued an advisory. Until their notification comes, they shall not enter into a partnership with Chartered Accountant. We have taken a legal opinion. Their advisory, even before that, we have discussed legally with our legal departments. If they issue advisory, what will happen? If they issue advisory, it is not legally valid. Why? The advisory issued by Cost Accountancy Institute and Company Secretary, I am not undergrading or downgrading them. I am discussing the legal issue. Who is big, who is small, I am not discussing. I am discussing legal issue. What is the legal issue? Institute today said, but they issued an advisory. Whether the advisory is legally valid, it means what? Suppose a cost accountant or company secretary want to join a partnership with Chartered Accountant today. Whether any disciplinary proceeding can be taken against them by their institute. We are analyzing. First, company secretary, let me take. The company secretary means who is the member of the institute. Company secretary in practice means their member individually or partnership with one or more members of the institute in practice, their own member, or partnership with members of such other recognized profession. So their law also permits. Who is the prescribed profession under their law, company secretary law? Let us see the professional ethics, their professional ethics. their professional ethics also say such other person who is a member of any other professional body having such qualification as may be prescribed. Such other person who is a member of any other professional body having such other qualification as may be prescribed. Not only the section permits, the regulation also permit. Both came in 2006 and 2012. And their regulation says what? Company secretaries, members of professional body, entering into a partnership. A person shall be a member of any of the following professional bodies by Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. First item. And today they are issuing an advisory. But CA Institute said, as far as I am concerned, and as far as my professional ethics is concerned, my law is concerned, regulation is concerned, ethical standard board guideline is concerned, my institute permits. Section 2.2 of Chartered Accountant Act permit, Section 2.2 of Company Secretary Act permit. Regulation 53B of Chartered Accountant Act permit, Regulation 168B of Company Secretaries Act permits. Their clause 4 permits, my clause 4 permits on professional ethics. So both the law is parallel. So any company secretary want to join partnership with a chartered accountant and they are willing to register with ICI, we will register, we will permit them to practice as an MDP firm. It is legally valid. That's what the view of the ICI. The MDP firm in CN practice shall be permitted to enter into a partnership with a member of Institute of Company Secretaries of India. Simple reason, my section, my professional ethics, that is Schedule 1, and our ICA regulation permits their regulation, their professional ethics, their act permits. So there is no violation of law. So we are permitting. Similarly for the cost accountants. Cost accountant law also 100% Xerox copy of the chartered accountant for this matter is concerned. Their section also having a word. Partnership with one or more members of the institute in practice or in partnership with members of such other recognized profession. Members of such other recognized profession. Their professional ethics, clause 4. Our clause 4, same clause 4. Such other person who is a member of any other professional body having such qualification as may be prescribed. So law is similar. Okay, what is their regulation? Their regulation 111C. They can, cost accountant can enter into a partnership with a chartered accountant. So ICA concluded, you may issue an advisory contrary to your own law. Today, what the ACS Institute or ICW Institute issued an advisory for their members. If they want to enter into an MDP partnership, which is going to be registered with ICI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, then it is contrary to the provision of law. This is view of the MCA also. An MDP in CA practice can enter into a partnership with members of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. But interestingly, all the three law nowhere prescribe this firm has to be registered with all the three institutes. The law prescribed it can be registered with any one of the institutes. Sir, which institute? That is partner's choice. If the partner decided, let us go and register with in CA Institute, Chartered Accountant Institute, you go and register with Chartered Accountant Institute. Cost Accountant Institute, Cost Accountant Institute. Company Secretary Institute, Company. It is the partner's choice. It is not the legal choice. Legal choice is your discretion. Either one of the three institutes, you go and register. Which institute? It is your discretion. So today, because Cost Accountancy Institute and Company Secretary Institute not taken steps to amend their forms, because they have to amend the forms like us, till such time, any MDP firm can be registered only with the CA Institute. This is the reality of the situation. So, but in their institute, as on date, I cannot go and register because their ethics amended, act amended, regulation amended, but they have not taken steps to amend their forms. And Ministry of Corporate Affairs is ready to amend their form, provided their council come with proper resolution and recommendations. Already, ICWA Institute issued their draft guidelines for NDP, and I think so they are going to pass a resolution very shortly in their council to amend their form, like similar to CA Institute, because I can unofficially tell 3 of the council member and 1 government nominee council member had a telephonic conference meeting almost more than 1.5 hours on this issue to clarify them, because MCA asked me to clarify. I clarified them all the issues. They are taking steps on this issue. Partnership with advocate. Our regulation 53B, ICA regulation, our regulation 53B permits to enter into a partnership with an advocate. See, interesting point we have to see. What is the interesting point? I can share fees with a person who is a lawyer, graduation law from any university, not entering into a partnership. No prohibition. But if I want to take him as a partner in my firm, our Chartered Accountant Act permit. But advocate rules, Bar Council rules says advocate shall not enter into a partnership of any other arrangement for sharing remuneration with any person or legal practitioner who is not an advocate. Sharing remuneration with any person or legal practitioner who is not an advocate. Here some legal opinion has been asked with me. Sekhar sir, if you read this, advocate shall not enter into a partnership of any other arrangement for sharing remuneration. This is a single word, partnership of any other arrangement for sharing a remuneration. You are saying that you can, without entering partnership, you can share fees. We have discussed this point, we analyzed this point. Sir, they use the word arrangement, sir. Partnership of any other arrangement. Why they use the word partnership of any other arrangement? You have to go to the Partnership Act. Partnership Act, partnership means 2 or more persons joined together by an agreement or arrangement. That means a written partnership or oral partnership. That is called arrangement. Not sharing the fees, keeping them outside without an intention of forming partnership. Without an intention of forming partnership, you agree to share the fees. 53B supports. Bar Council regulation does not prohibit, you can do it. But you want to take them as a partner, Bar Council rule prohibits. We are also prohibiting in our guideline. What is the reason behind that? Sir, our act permits. Why we have to prohibit, sir? It is the head of the advocates. Because we are having one more professional ethics, where a Chartered Accountant Act, which is bring disrepute to the profession, he will subject to disciplinary proceeding, bringing disrepute to the profession. When you know as a chartered accountant, learned person, learned professional, the Bar Council rule prohibit to admit some people as a partner. You are admitting him. That means you are bringing disrepute to the profession, not obeying the law of the land. Not obeying the law of the land. So Institute advised, let us don't do anything not permitted as per the law of the land. It is only 50% permitted, other 50% not permitted. But it is not the same in the case of Company Secretaries Act or Cost Accountant Act. So we are not permitting. But we are not prohibiting keeping a lawyer, law degree person outside sharing fees. We are not prohibiting, because that prohibition is not there expressly. Partnership with the engineer. There are 2 sets of engineers. One is Indian Institute of Engineers, who is a member. That is like AMIE. Second set of engineers, who is an approved degree from the university under the University Grant Commission Act. So they are not having any separate law. There is no prohibition in UGC Act or Central Universities Act or Central Act or Provincial Act with whom the engineer can do work. We are admitting. Partnership with engineers is a boom for a chartered accountant. Architect. Similarly, Architect Act, Indian Institute of Architects, member of the Indian Institute of Architects. And the Indian Institute of Architects is originally registered under Society Registration Act, subsequently come under Architect Act. Their bylaw says who are the members of the institute. He may be a fellow member, associate member, licensate member, honorary member. You can enter into a partnership with them. And their regulation nowhere prohibits. So we are also permitting. Partnership with actuary. Actuary means who is called actuary. I am not going into the definition of actuary. But who can be, with whom the actuary can enter into a partnership. Their law is, what was our law in 2006, same law there. Actuaries can enter into a partnership with actuaries in practice. Like our law, they are not having a provision with the members of any other prescribed qualification. Similarly, their professional ethics, clause 3 also say they can enter into a partnership with only a person who is an actuary. So I don't want to do anything which is bring disrepute to the profession. Just because my regulation 53B permits, if I enter into a partnership, then I may be subject to disciplinary proceedings. So Institute recommended MDP, if your actuary is holding certificate of practice, don't enter into a partnership with him. Not holding certificate of practice, you can enter because the law, very specifically their law prohibits holding certificate of practice. Without holding certificate of practice, you are keeping an actuary inside your firm. You can get only value addition of his knowledge, but he is having no power to do certification attest function as an actuary. So it is no way beneficial. Now I will come to the point. These 6 category of people in our law prescribe company secretary, cost accountant, bar counsel, engineer, then architect, actuary. Out of these, 2 persons are not permitted by ICA also because their law not permit. Balance 4 category of people. Company secretary, cost accountant, architect, and engineers. These 4 category of people are permitted by the law. What is the practical advantage of taking this person into my firm? As a council, because you know that council is a statutory body coming under Chartered Accountant Act and regulation. And all the 40 members are eminent personalities, 32 members are chartered accountants, other 8 members are government nominees. As per the regulation, they shall not be a chartered accountant, but eminent personalities. They are permitted, discussed and analyzed. If we allow this, in what way it is beneficial for our country's chartered accountant in practice? So as a group, we submitted a report. In what way our members in small metro, non-metro places, small towns will be advantageous for them in their practice. So we submitted a small record. As per the institute record, there are 140,000 chartered accountants are in practice. In what manner they are practicing? The 140,000 chartered accountants are in practice by having a partnership firm of 88,000 firms. The 140,000 chartered accountants are a partner, but how many firms? 88,000 firms. 88,000 mean not exactly 88,000, 88,000 add firms. Some numbers. Out of this 88,000 chartered accountant firms, 62,000 are individual proprietary firm. 62,000 are individual and proprietary firm. 23,000 firms are 2 to 5 partners. 23,000 firms are 2 to 5 partners. If you practically ask me, around 200 firms and above only about 10 partners. Above 5 partners put together only less than around 3,000 firms. So council put a question, in what way, Shekhar, this is advantages. Majority of the members are proprietors, individuals. Present a case. We presented a case. Think of an individual practicing chartered accountant in a small town. He entered into a partnership with an engineer. But he has to select a correct engineer. Which engineer? Who is having approved valuer certificate from Income Tax Department for Income Tax and Wealth Tax Valuation, and Company Law Valuation Rules certificate if he is having officially. Then it is a beneficial for him. How? First two disadvantages I will tell. An individual enter into a partnership with the engineer. What is the disadvantage? He can't do statutory audit of a company. Why he can't do statutory audit of a company? Under Companies Act section 141, under Companies Act 141, if a firm is appointed as an auditor, the majority of the shall be the chartered accountant in practice. The majority shall be the chartered accountant in practice. Here, an individual entering into a partnership with the engineer, only 2 partners. Even though the chartered accountant may have 70% share, but institute clarified, majority for the purpose of section 141 means both in terms of numbers as well as share. So he is not satisfying the guideline condition. So he cannot take statutory audit of a company. How many statutory audit? 20 statutory audit. Loss? Loss, yes. But he can do tax audit. He can do trust audit. He can do cooperative society audit. He can do concurrent audit. He can do internal audit. All audit other than statutory audit of a company he can do. Okay. Next, what is the advantage? We analyze what is the advantage of keeping an engineer as a partner who is having approved valuation certificate. In India, even for a small housing loan, not only small housing loan, suppose you want to repair your house, you want to take only 5 lakh temporary loan under mortgage of your property. Any loan, wherever there is a security there, that security is to be valued by an approved value. Even 5 lakh loan, 10 lakh loan, wherever you are given primary security or secondary security, movable and immovable property is given. If it is an immovable property, an approved value certificate, even movable property, plant and machinery, approved value certificate is essential. So automatically, if you are taking an engineer, as a chartered accountant, you can, other than statutory audit of a company, all audit you can do. With your network in banks and financial institution, your engineer partner can do all the valuation work. You can improve your scope of practice. You can improve your scope of practice. In one of the meeting, one person asked, sir, why you have to do that, sir? Under 53A, I can keep him outside. That also your choice. You want to keep the engineer under your control or outside your office, that is our choice. I can say what is the law gives the advantage. Where you want to keep is our choice. Take 53A, keep them outside, job to job basis, give assignment. Tomorrow you should not tell. Using your network, taken all the contacts of you, all the valuation he has taken, you should not come and tell. You want to keep the control over the engineer, you keep the control over the engineer in your firm. And see that the valuation certificate go only in your firm name. If you keep him outside, you can share fees, you can take your share. But the valuation certificate will go in his firm name, in his name. And his good will improve. That is our choice. I am not going further depth into the analysis. Next set of small size of firm, 23. So this is the first advantages for the bigger firm. Other advantage is that cost auditor, cost accountant you take, the problem is statutory auditor cannot be a cost auditor. Company secretary you can take, secretarial audit you can do, but statutory audit you can't do. You can do internal audit and other audit. But engineer is the major advantage. After 10 years of practice as a proprietor chartered accountant, you are having insolvency license as well as valuer license. Then you can do as an insolvency professional, as a valuer license, you can do financial instrument, all the shares and securities valuation you can do, all the immovable property your engineer partner can do. Big boom in all Mofussil area, all non-metro area, all small town area. Only engineer. Keeping that point only in mind, we have first want this law has to come. Second point. We analyzed the next set of partnership firms, 23,000 firms, 2 to 5 partners. We made an analysis. What the analysis we made? There are 5 partners, let us presume. Out of the 5 partners, chartered accountant admit 1 cost accountant, 1 company secretary, 1 architect, 1 engineer who is having approved valuer. 4 people we are admitting. 5 chartered accountant, 4 other professionals, 9 partners. Now, 141 conditions satisfied. Majority of the partner, we have to ensure the 5 partner having 51% share. In terms of aggregate of share, in terms of aggregate of partners, you are majority. 141, statutory audit, you can do it, no problem. The chartered accountant in the 9 partner firm, 5 are chartered accountant, 1 is a company secretary, 1 is a cost accountant, 1 is an architect, 1 is an engineer with approved valuation. Architect also having approved valuation certificate for land and building. Now, the question. You can do statutory audit. All the audits you can do. Internal audit, concurrent audit, cooperative society audit, trust audit, all the audits you can do. But who can certify? Very, very important. In MTP firm, people think that if I admit cost accountant or company secretary, they cannot certify. Sorry. What is permitted as per the law only in that firm you can do. You can do other supportive function, but the attestation function has to be done only by the professional who is permitted to do that attestation function. A cost accountant can assist you or help you in your statutory audit of a company. A company secretary can assist you in your statutory audit of a company. An engineer can assist you in a statutory audit for valuation of the assets or even valuation of the inventory, anything he can support. But attestation function, signing the balance sheet, signing the auditor report, only a chartered accountant. So all the audits, what is normally applicable for a chartered accountant firm, all the audits you can do. Now let me take cost accountant. My partner is there. What job I can do? As per Companies Act, one prohibition is there. Yes, statutory auditor cannot be a cost auditor. A cost auditor cannot be a statutory auditor. So our firm can't do cost audit. But whatever the companies, because we are restricted to do only 20 statutory audit. So wherever we can't do, once we reach the target of 20 or 5 partners 100, wherever we are not able to do statutory audit, whether we can take cost audit, you can do the cost audit through your MDP firm, through the cost audit, cost accountant partner, because under regulation section 2(2) of the Cost Accountants Act, he can be a partner with any prescribed qualification and he can do the audit, whatever prescribed. You can do cost audit. Company secretary. Very advantage, major advantage. Because there is no prohibition in the Companies Act. A statutory auditor cannot be nowhere prescribed. Secretarial auditor cannot be a statutory auditor. Nowhere prescribed. So you can do statutory audit as well as secretarial audit. Statutory audit can be done by a chartered accountant, secretarial audit can be done by a secretary of the same firm. No prohibition. Where is the prohibition? In Companies Act. Wherever you are not doing statutory audit, also you can do secretarial audit. Who is the signing partner? Company secretary. Because his section 2(2), his professional ethics clause 4, his regulation 111C, everything permits. Everything permits. So now your MDP firm with the 5 partners can do statutory audit. Wherever you are not doing statutory audit, cost audit. Wherever you are doing statutory audit, you can do secretarial audit. Not doing also, you can do secretarial audit. Another interesting point. As a rotation of auditor firm, 10 years beyond, more than 10 years, you cannot be a same statutory auditor. The day you are coming out of the statutory auditor, you can take cost audit. There is no prohibition. In addition to whatever the engineering valuation or architect support, so you can tell any company, any person coming to you, any individual, HEF firm, AO, PPY, government, anybody coming to you, I am a departmental store. You want to have a building plan or factory plan, my architect partner will do. For all your valuation, my architect and engineer can support you. To value the cost of your product, my cost accountant can support you. All the secretarial compliance, my secretary will support you. All the financial document, India is implementation, AS implementation, as a chartered accountant will support you. All under one roof, departmental store. No prohibition, floodgate open. There is no restriction. If you want the help of a lawyer, keep him outside the firm, give you a share of the fees, take his consultancy. You want the help of an actuary as on date under regulation 53(a), keep him outside, take his help. But these 4 people, you can take him inside. How this can be formed? Members of any other professional body not permitted. MBA as on date, you can take share and give share under regulation 53(a), but you cannot take him as a partner as on date. This firm can be formed as either as a normal partnership firm, or you can form as a limited liability partnership firm. Registration with the institute, name clearance 117, and you can apply in form 18 along with the details, including admitting any of the members of professional bodies under 53B, you can admit. But very, very interesting. MDPCA in practice shall distinct name, how they will be called, multidisciplinary firm of chartered accountants. I already told, ICWA Institute raised objection in 2 places. Why they shall be called the MDP firm of chartered accountants? Why not they will be called MDP firm of cost accountants? Why not they be called MDP firm of comparison? Second objection from them is verification of partners. These are the 2 objections raised by the ICWA Institute mainly. Why they have to be called as MDP firm of chartered accountants? Then we have clarified the MCA. Sir, this firm is going to be registered under chartered accountant regulation. When the firm is going to be registered under chartered accountant regulation, and they are getting clearance under Chartered Accountant Act for the purpose of registration, for the public to know, this MDP firm is registered with under what law? Chartered Accountant law or Cost Accountant law or Company Secretary law? With which institute? With which institute? So, public can know very well. MDP firm of Chartered Accountant means in this firm, not only Chartered Accountant, other permitted professionals are there, but this is registered with Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. If they open the firm, they can have it MDP firm of Cost Accountant. They can call it as MDP firm of Company Secretaries. That is their choice. Let them ask them to open their window, their firm. Let them come and register. We don't have a real. MCA said, you are absolutely right. Second objection raised on this point, verification of partners. It is the duty of the MDPCA in practice to submit a documentary evidence in case of partners who are not the members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. That is, suppose you are admitting engineer, architect, or a cost accountant, or company secretary. Their document, because they should be a member, whether they are a member holding a membership certificate, registered in the institute, everything. Who has to verify? It is to be attested by a chartered accountant in practice who is not related to the firm. Why? Independent. The partner of the firm cannot certify, and outside the chartered accountant. Here ICW Institute raised objection. ICA has said with vested interest, only chartered accountant in practice has to certify. Why not cost accountant? We have clarified MCA. Who is the certifying person? Chartered accountant. The certifying person's KYC is available with the institute. Suppose G. Shekhar is forming a chartered accountant MDP firm. Mr. Babu certified other partners' credential, KYC norms. Babu's detail is available with the institute. Or Joman certified Joman's credential available with the institute. Or Ramesh Kumar certified Ramesh Kumar credential is available with the institute, CA institute. Who certifying his specimen signature, everything. But if we are cost accountant certified, then ICA, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, has to send all the documents to Cost Accountant Institute. Whether your member only certified, please confirm his specimen signature, his membership number, everything. So we return to the MCA. If this firm is registered with ICI's CA Institute, let them CA certify. Tomorrow, the firm, somebody wants to form an MDP firm that has to be registered with Cost Accountant Institute or Company Secretary Institute, if they permit, let them say their member certified. We don't have any objection. Because it is for smooth ease of doing profession, not with any prestigious who is supreme. We have never said we are supreme. We said ease of doing profession. MCA said, absolutely right. But it is a duty of the member who is certifying to verify the professional body. When I addressed this point on meeting, so many people asked one doubt. Sir, I am admitting a cost accountant and against him some disciplinary proceeding is there. I am admitting a company secretary against whom some disciplinary proceeding is there in their institute. How do I come to know? I am asking, I put a counter argument. Okay, today you are admitting a chartered accountant in your firm. Tell me from where you will come to know there is a disciplinary proceeding on him is there. In our website, we are not having any record on whom disciplinary proceedings are there unless the member voluntarily disclose. Unless the member voluntarily disclose under whom the disciplinary proceedings are pending, there is no website at all, even in our institute. Sir, then what is the remedy? I said, take an affidavit from them. So that we will prescribe. No. It is not guideline. It is your buyer beware. Caveat emptor. How to protect your interest of the firm. You want to protect yourself. The person you are admitting him, against him there is no civil proceeding or criminal proceeding or disciplinary proceeding. Take an affidavit. Take an affidavit. And keep it as your firm record. tomorrow, if he given a wrong affidavit, wrong declaration, you can proceed him against their disciplinary proceedings. Certainly nobody will give wrong declaration as a learned professional. So that problem is, as a prudential professional, we have to sort it out. Another question has been asked. Sir, suddenly these people want to go out of the firm or asking a share in my goodwill. I am doing the profession for 30 years. Today I am admitting these people. Even the same problem is with chartered accountant admission also. So practically you want to know, we should use our professional knowledge and experience. If you want to retain the control over the firm, your firm, but you want to admit other professional also, take the advantage of Partnership Act. You can tell so-and-so is the managing partner or lead partner or founder partner who is having right to admit or giving this admission annual. You don't want to give him a percentage of share, give him a fixed sum of share, 10,000 rupees per annum other than the remuneration. All these things are flexible under Partnership Act, and nowhere our institute act or regulation coming into the picture. How your partnership deed should be. Your partnership deed should not violate the Chartered Accountant Act and regulation. How much remuneration you should give, how much share you can give, what way you can share, and what are the areas that other partner can have a share. All things you can define very clearly. Even you can have a restricted partnership. Only on the secretarial job he is doing, you can give share. You can have a separate account, business account for the secretarial practice, a separate account for caste account and practice. That is your choice, our discretion, our way of operating our own profession. Institute is not going to come into the picture, all these things. All this fear or the doubt. Even one of the meeting, they asked me a question. Sir, 8 company secretary, see the doubt, 8 company secretary, imagination. One chartered accountant they are taking as a partner. And they are forming as MDP firm of company secretary and the company secretary and going and registering there. Because chartered accountant is there, whether they can come for MEF registration and C&AG registration. C&A registration, they can't come. Why? 141 condition not fulfilled. Then why you are having a fear? Sir, C&AG condition. Sir, whether they can do tax audit, they can do tax audit. Same limit, 1 chartered accountant, 60 only, not 8 plus 1, 9 chartered accountant. 9 partner. Other partners will not get share under the chartered accountant guideline. Only chartered accountant is there, their share will be there. Just because 8 company secretary, 1 chartered accountant, don't think that 9 into 60, 540 audit they can do. Only 60 audit they can do. Only 20 company audit, that also they cannot do minority of the partners. Unnecessary fear. Sir, MEF. MEF is concerned whether they can do come bank or do bank audit. Bank audit also, it is a listed company. All the nationalized banks are listed company. Majority of the partner condition has to be satisfied for even for branch auditors. If the majority are not chartered accountant, they can't do. So valuing the size of the firm. For other partners, the institute will take a step. They will give only 1 mark, not much mark, but the CH. MDPCA practice constituted regulation 190A will apply. Services, all the services rendered by a normal chartered accountancy firm can do by a MDP firm also. There is no restriction. Companies Act is concerned, I already clarified this point. If the majority are not chartered accountants, then they cannot do. How to determine the majority? Institute has very clearly given. For the purpose of majority criteria, computing eligibility of MDPCAs in practice, appointment as statutory auditor shall be calculated both on the basis of the number of partners as well as their aggregate share of profits in MDPCA in practice, so that the majority criteria shall be established. What is the reason behind this? When this point came for discussion in the council divided into 3 groups. One group said fully chartered. That is number of partners. Another group said, no, not number of partners, share. Third group said both. We analyzed. If we keep number of partners, 10 chartered accountants having 40% share, 4 other professionals having 60% share. How can we say? Because of joint and several liability for the partnership firm. So Institute analyzed all the legal issues, ultimately said, for the purpose of section 141, to determine the majority, both in terms of numbers as well as a percentage of share, they should have the majority. Then only will be considered for statutory audit. Then, share of profits for administration. And here I want to clarify. Somebody raised the point, one of the points. So tax audit also, they said, condition under Companies Act to be satisfied, section 2AK. There the condition under section 139, they said, of the Companies Act, not 141. 139 talks about relatives, not partnership firm with the majority. So don't break your head. What is not there in the law, don't bother. Okay. Share of profit, administration, management, functional responsibility, powers, authorities, duties, rights, responsibility, liability, and how to settle dispute among the partners shall be mutually, because it is a joint and several liability, because we learned the definition of partnership. One acting for all acting for all. So it is a purely your understanding with what terms and condition you agree, and what is the beneficial condition for the administrator of the firm, they have to decide. Then, sir, in case I want to admit new partner, remove partner, same procedure what is applicable for normal partnership will apply. Then, sir, whether as per present law, chartered accountant can only be in charge of a branch. Whether now, tomorrow, I am admitting cost accountant or company secretary, I can open a branch, keep them as an in charge. As on date, section 27 permits chartered accountant can only be in charge. But the same section 27 says, provided that the council may in suitable case exempt any chartered accountant in practice or a form of chartered accountant operation of this section. Council is having a power. So council decided what? The council decided if anybody applied to them after forming MDP firm, want a cost accountant or company secretary in practice to be in charge of a branch, then the council will permit. If more MDP firms formed, because we don't know how many people are willing to come and form. So more MDP firm form, then at that point of time, we will issue a general guideline. As on date, we don't want to issue a general guideline. You can keep an engineer in charge of the branch or an architect in charge of your branch or cost accountant in charge of your branch, because we don't know how the members going to take it. I opened the gate. How many going to come into this type of category of MDP firm? I don't know. Why I have to open the floodgate of who can be the in charge of branch now itself, give you a general exemptions. Let them apply. If more application come, more requests come, at that point of time, otherwise case to case basis, let the council permits. Fees for professional services, what is given in regulation 192 will apply. What are the business or profession? Here, very important point. Being an MDP firm, what is permitted for you under chartered accountant and regulation, you can carry on. But you admitted a partner of prescribed qualification, that partner can do what is permitted under their law in the same firm. Because Cost Accountant Act permit, they can enter into a partnership with the chartered accountant. So in this firm as a cost accountant, section 2.2, or company secretary, section 2.2, or architect, their law permits. They can do. Engineers, what they permitted under the general law of Companies Act or Income Tax Act or Wealth Tax Act, they can do. No prohibition. So they can do not only under this law, but other law can also do. Professional address, same thing, change in professional address, branches, everything you have to follow what is normal applicable. Disciplinary proceeding. Here also the Cost Accountants Institute, how the disciplinary proceeding shall be, if the firm is registered in CA Institute. As per the law, if the chartered accountant committed a mistake, as on date, either under Chartered Accountant Act or Cost Accountant Act or Companies Act, there is no law to punish the firm. As on date, there is only a law to punish a member who committed the mistake. Member is not negligent. So if the member who is a partner in the MDP firm, a chartered accountant committed a mistake, then ICA, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, will take a disciplinary proceeding. But a cost accountant committed a mistake if the complaint is received in the name of a cost accountant to the CA Institute. Immediately, we will forward the complaint to the Company Secretary, Cost Accountant Institute or Company Secretary Institute, or in case of architect, the Architect Institute. If he is an engineer, Code of Civil Procedure will apply. Because for engineer, as on date, there is no prescribed institute, because all the universities in this country giving engineering degree who are permitted to give, who are registered with AIC. So Code of Civil Procedure only will apply. This is what we clarified. After this clarification, Ministry is satisfied. Yes, it is a long pending due. The vision started during 2006. When the T.N. Manoharan sir period, when he was the president, and the vision mission almost come to a stage of successful launch during Mr. Ramasamy sir period, when he was the president in 2011-12. But only a small last challenge, speed break, I can say. To fulfill all these things, the prescribed form is not notified. So we have taken all the steps, guideline, framing the guideline, framing the FAQs, recommended the form. MCA ultimately taken the consultation of Ministry of Law and Justice and approved it. So now the opportunity is open. Now I'm not going on the slide basis on networking of firm. Networking of firm is already there since more than a decade. Now we improved the guideline. Initially only we have networking guideline. Now we have alliance networking, normal networking, or lead firm networking. Lead firm networking is, even though institute notified, we are verifying whether it will have some legal issue because of section 2.2 in a lead firm networking, single firm acting for all. But as on date, my section, we have some legal opinion has come. Section 2.2 permits only individual or a partnership with a chartered accountant. A firm of chartered accountant joined together, not form a firm of chartered accountant, is not there in section 2.2. So lead firm concept, as on date, not going to be applied. For that, we have to amend the act. We are writing to the government. But existing network permitted. It is going to be permitted with the registered institute. All the and alliance firm without having, each can individual, but they can call it as alliance instead of network. Each can apply for MEF, C&AG registration separately. But only one thing restriction is coming is one alliance firm or the networking firm is here doing statutory audit. Other alliance firm or networking firm can't do the internal audit or any other audit. Similarly, the management services restrictions are there. So networking again, ultimately, how the networking firm is permitted because of clause 2 and clause 3. A chartered accountant can share fees with another chartered accountant. A chartered accountant can share fees. So the same prescribed will applicable. Even the networking firm is an MDP firm. This can be permitted. So I am seeing some questions. Can a CA from MDP firm LLP join with an MDP firm to establish in different cities? That is your choice. With other MDP firms, networking, see, whatever permitted for a normal CA firm, automatically permitted for MDP firm. MDP firm, one thing I would like to say, MDP firm is not coming under, it is here because of clause 2 and clause 3 of the Chartered Accountant Act, with whom you can share fees. So automatically in MDP form, cost accountant, company secretary, actuary, which is permitted under regulation 53A. So you can have enter into the networking with another firm. Because can you see in MDP firm or LLP, join with other MDP firm to establish different cities? Certainly, once is in another company secretary, you can have a constitution of the firm according to your choice, but only one CA is there in that firm. Once, for example, today you are celebrating Navaratna. He is asking a beautiful question. CA in Ernakulam, CMA in Koilan, and CS in Kozhikode, architect in Calicut. Is it permissible? Yes, permissible. One, but single CA firm. Single CA firm. Permissible. But you have to write to the institute under section 27. Please exempt from me to have a person as a branch in charge, other professional. Take the permission. Then only you can have it. After forming a firm, make it first, number one. For that, you have to take the permission. Institute will give permission because MDP firm is permitted, automatically this permission should be there. But what is the thing? You can't do statutory audit. Company statutory audit, number one. Number two, your tax audit is restricted to the name limit because in your firm only one chartered accountant is there. This point I already clarified because there were so many people, every branch asking this question. Similarly, wherever number of restriction on audit is there, audit applicable. That's a point you have to take care of. Then in chat box, let me see any question is there.
Yes, one question is there.
Is holding a degree in the sense including post-graduation degree also. Without a degree, you cannot get a post-graduation degree. Or immediately you may be asking, sir, it is a dual degree, sir, 6-year course, 5-year course, 6-year course. Automatically it is a degree, more than a degree, automatically permitted. But only one thing I want to say, which engineer you can permit? Which engineer you can permit? The engineer beneficial for your practice. Somebody asked me in one of the firms, sir, can I have an engineer who is having cybercrime audit or other audit of the system audit like that? I said, certainly, what is beneficial, which bench engineer, what, there is no necessary that engineer only with evaluation certificate. Suppose you are doing system consultancy in accounts and other areas, you want a cyber security engineer for you as a partner, take him. Sir, selecting a professional who suits choice. Internal only discuss who are the beneficial. A guideline regulatory body. I cannot give you a list of illustrative situations. That means I am showing I am supreme. I cannot show as a professional institute I am supreme to another institute. We may be supreme, we may be having only 335,000 members. Having a big public respect. But as a statutory body, I cannot tell what are the ways you can use this, all these things for that only this time of seminars and workshop. So I don't think so. Any other sir put the question on Q&A box. Based accounting system audit, Murali. Team-based accounting, what is STEM-based accounting? I'm not able to understand. This question is clarified. I can answer the question. Few more questions in question box. Can a CA partner with, sir, I already told very, very clearly. Is this category of people coming under regulation 53A/B? No. Even as on date, you can see our thing with a member of prescribed professional body. That is in my explain. He entitled to register as a member of the institute whose qualification are recognized by the central government or the council for the purpose of permitting such a partnership. If you are qualified abroad, as on date, ICA has not recognized any foreign qualification. We are entering into an MRA to do the course. We are in of understanding with Institute of Chartered Accountants, or we have entered an agreement. Our member want to go and settle in England. Instead of writing all the papers, let them write only 2 papers. There people come, let them write here 4 papers. Similarly, but we are not permitting any qualification, so that the point doesn't arise for you, UK CPA and other people. Can you other I already answered. Any other question members can to answer? Any other question from the viewers other than in the chat box?
Sir, your voice breaks, sir. It is not very clear.
Otherwise,
Yes, sir. Not audible, sir.
Dear members, today of this the valid reason. So many verification functions. Audible, not audible. Not audible.
Not audible, sir. Not
Am
audible.
I audible?
It breaks, sir. Frequently it breaks.
Rema, I am audible.
Sir, your voice breaks, sir. The continuity is
Good,
lost
sir.
in between.
So Shekhar sir, after answering and when you start asking that, if there any question from the members, that the time onwards, started,
Yes, yes.
having trouble.
Sir, their network problem, I think so. Sir, I think so.
Sir, it shows that your network bandwidth is low.
Sir, your video is clear, sir. I think it will be okay now. It is okay now.
Now audible?
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
Yes, clear.
Yes, sir.
Now clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Better, better.
Very much, very much.
Sir, this is in relation to what I would like to say very here. The challenge before today practice, why Institute opened new floodgates. Our auditing function is a verification function. Because of technology, so many cross verification is now easily possible. For example, today, whatever the share market profit you earn, it is coming in your return automatically. Today, utilization of export license from Ministry of Foreign Trade, Customs Authority is able to get from the Customs Authorities, Income Tax Department able to get all the detail. GST records are shareable with the Income Tax Department. So all your GST returns reflect in your 26 years. So all the, wherever earlier we do cross verification, certification or attest function day by day. So unless we have a new idea, new area of operation to widen the scope of the profession. One thing I would like to share with you today, as on date, if you practically ask me, even though 16 lakh companies registered with the Companies Act, only 13.5 lakhs companies are operative, of which 6,900 companies are listed companies. It means for 1,40,000 chartered accountants, 6,900 companies only listed company audit. 2 lakh companies only CARO applicable. That means net worth above 1 crore is only 2 lakh company. So even not 2 audit CARO report per individual. Tax audit is concerned as on date, nearly 24 lakh audit is there. If they strictly bring 10 crore as a turnover, then it will reduce to below 8 lakh. But one thing I would like to keep it in for bring it to your notice. In India, 46% of revenue collection is from non-corporate entities, whether GST or income tax revenue. And this is the only profession which has been taught. No MBA, no IAMs. Only this profession has been taught. From debit the receiver and credit the giver, how to manage a company which is going to be liquidated as an insolvency professional. Everything is, knowledge is given. And now I permit you to take the help for doing your profession. Other sister profession also will support you. Widening the scope of your practice, it's in our choice. Using the choice or losing the choice is in our hands. So I request the members, think more positively how efficiently you can use this opportunity. Ultimately, let us don't forget the words of Swami Vivekananda. Never lose faith in yourself. We can do anything in the universe. Awake, arise, achieve. All the best for you. Thank you. Any question, because 2 hands are raised, any question that I can, one Lakshmi Menon and one Manoj Kumar Krishnapanikar. Question from the viewers. You can permit them to speak.
Ramesh sir.
You are muted, sir.
Sir, is it possible to speak for the audience?
Audience cannot unmute. They can only use the chat box or Q&A box, I guess.
Ramesh sir, Lakshmi Menon and Manoj Kumar has been promoted as panelists and they can unmute and speak.
Okay. Lakshmi ma'am, please unmute and speak.
Lakshmi madam, are you there?
In the meantime, Mr. Zakir Hussain asked one more question. As one CA can have offices in different cities by partnering with other specific profession through MDP, is this bypass the CA provisions of having branch offices? Let me put one thing. As on date, I can't say it is a bypass. Council is having power when the law permits you to open an MDP firm. Section 2(2) of Chartered Accountants Act. Our regulation permits. The permission not came now. It thought process started in 2006 and in 2012. Today we only notified the form when the law permits. So automatically council also permits. It is not bypassing. But because of that, you are not. One thing I want to share very clearly in my 36 year of practice. Unless your client not going to like your service, he will not be your client. Yes, sir. Question from the viewers.
Sir, one question is there, can a branch office of a MDP be headed by a person other than CA?
Sir, at this point, I already clarified in my presentation itself, section 27 permits as on date only a chartered accountant. But the same section 27 says very clearly, council is having power to exempt. Since MDP firm permitted, council decided anybody after constituting MDP firm, with their record, they come and say, we want to have exemption. Let them specifically apply to the council, then we will give exemption. We don't want to give general exemption as on date. We don't want to give general exemption as on date because we don't know what type of MDP firms going to be formed by the members. Because ultimately, using this benefit is in the hands of the members. How many of them going to use it? That is the biggest question mark. How they are going to use it? That is the second biggest question mark. So keeping that point in mind, Institute don't want to give general opening. Let them come because till date, 2 days back only guidelines are issued. So we are waiting. How many applications we are getting?
I think we have answered all the items in the chat box, sir.
One question has come right now, sir.
Oh, yeah.
A CA firm wants to engage an MBA management consultant for giving consulting service to the firm's clients, whose remuneration is proposed to be 10% of the pre-tax profits of the firm. Does this arrangement fall within the mischief covered under clause 2 of? You cannot admit him as a partner. With an MBA, you can have a separate agreement or arrangement. Whatever the work you can give him, you can share 10% of your gross remuneration. 10% of the pre-tax, you can't say pre-tax surplus. Assignment basis, you can give share, not as a partner, you can give him separately. That is, you can do. You cannot make him as a partner and do things. I already told, even you can keep a lawyer outside the firm. Somebody asked me, I told, you want to keep an MBA and lawyer in your firm, keep them. Where? Next room, give. They are also there, but they are our associates. Unofficially, don't tell in your partnership deed. Anything, they will come and support you. They are working with us. You can tell. You can keep them as your consultant, employee. Under 194J, give him a share in the work as a percentage, allowable expenditure, not as a share as a partner.
I think, Rama, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much for the excellent session on the MDP topic, sir. I request our chairman, CA Ramesh Kumar S, for his concluding remarks.
Thank you, Rama. Thank you so much, Shekhar sir, for the excellent deliberation on multidisciplinary partnership firm and revised networking guidelines. We are very fortunate to have you as a speaker, sir. As I mentioned earlier, we are leaving the webinar with the power-packed and knowledge-filled session. Thank you so much for being with us and accepting our invitation to be the speaker without any second thought. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you all the chairman and committee members of the 9 branches. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ramesh sir and Shekhar sir. As a token of our love and affection, we would like to present a memento to our eminent faculty for the day, CA G. Shekhar sir, Central Council member of ICAI. I request our chairman, CA Ramesh Kumar S, to present the memento virtually. I also request the Thrissur branch to display the memento.
As a token of our affection, I request
Love and
you to accept
affection.
this virtual memento, sir.
Ramesh sir.
Yeah.
So,
As a token of, am I audible?
Yes, thank you.
yes, sir.
As a token of our affection, I request you to accept the virtual memento, sir, with your photo embossed, which will be delivered to you physically later, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
So
you.
this
Thank you.
idea of virtual memento was conceptualized by Jomon sir during the last Navaratna conference. So thank you, Jomon sir, for this great idea. I hope you are there. Okay, so
Emma, for the
Thank you,
request, Emma, for the formal vote of thanks.
thank you, dear chairman. Respected speaker for the day, CA G. Shekhar sir, and our Central Council member, CA Babu Abraham Kallivail, Central Council member of ICAI, CA Jomon K. George, past chairman of SARC of ICAI, chairman of all the 9 branches of Kerala, managing committee members of all the branches, and my dear professional friends who have joined for the seminar. A very warm good evening to all of you. Let me first express my deepest gratitude on behalf of all the Navaratna branches to our erudite and learned faculty for the day, CA G. Shekhar sir, our Central Council member, for the brilliant deliberation on the topic MDPs and the revised networking guidelines. I'm sure with this presentation, many of us would have changed our mind and have decided to go for the big firms and providing various services under one umbrella. So I'm very sure that all the ambiguities which we had before have been cleared and our way forward is crystal clear. Thank you so much, sir, for the excellent deliberation on the topic.
Thank
Next, I thank our conference chairman, CA Babu Abraham Kallivailil, Central Council member of ICI, for always lending us a helping hand. His unstinted support, guidance, and cooperation is indeed a big strength for all of us. He has played a very important role in bringing many eminent faculties for this conference this year as well as the last year. Sir, we are honored and privileged to have you amongst us today, sir. Thank you so much. Moving on, our heartfelt gratitude and thanks to the conference convener, CA Jomon K. George, past chairman of SARC of ICI, for his constant support and involvement in all the important branch activities. He plays a vital role for many of the branches in Kerala, as he is the ex officio member for most of the branches. His ever-smiling face and motivation to all of us does not need any special mention. We thank you, Jomon sir, for helping us to organize such a great virtual conference. Thank you so much, sir. Next, I thank all the chairmen of the 9 branches, CA Rajanish R. Alapura, CA Ranjit Warrior Ernakulam, CA PJ Reggie Kannur, CA Praveen Narayan Kollam, CA Prashant Srinivas Kottayam, CA Arun Subramanian Kozhikode, CA Vinod Menon Palakkad, CA Aryan KK Thrissur, and my dear chairman, CA Ramesh Kumar S, for their great effort. Without their coordination and timely efforts, this conference would have never happened. Thank you, dear chairman, for the efforts you are taking for the welfare of all the members of Kerala. Next, I thank all the managing committee members for their teamwork, support, and cooperation. Thank you so much, everyone. Finally, and never ever the least, I thank all the members who have participated for this seminar. Thank you for the patient listening and active participation, because without audience, there is no great show. I hope that you all are logging off today with a bundle of knowledge in a very novel area, which will definitely help us to grow in future. Sarvesham swastir bhavadu, Sarvesham shantir bhavadu, Sarvesham purnam bhavadu, Sarvesham mangalam bhavadu. Thank you all. Stay home, stay safe, and stay virtually connected. Thanks once again.
We thank Rema Sharma also for doing a wonderful job.
Thank you so much, sir. Let us now conclude after listening to the national anthem.
Adhinayaka Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Punjab Sindh Gujarat Maratha Dravida Utkala Vanga Vindhya Himachala Yamuna Ganga Uchchala Jaladhi Taranga Tava Shubha Name Jage तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
भारत माता की जय
जय भारत माता की जय
भारत माता
Thank
Thank you all.
you all. And a special thanks